Welcome to a special edition of Eye on the Hawks. On New Year's Day, the Hawkeyes will end their season in Orlando, Florida at the Citrus Bowl against the Tennessee Volunteers. We'll then look ahead to a lot of changes in 2024, a new offensive coordinator, new Big Ten with new opponents and no divisions. But before all that, Iowa already scored his first big win after landing in Florida when senior star linebacker Jay Higgins announced that he is returning for the 2024 season. Higgins leads the Big Ten in tackles, amassing 155 of them throughout the year. That ranks second in all of Division I. We talked to Jay last week, and he was already reflecting on what this senior season has meant to him.
My dad told me, make sure you stop and smell the roses, and I don't think I did. I was just trying to make sure we didn't, give up more than 4 yards of play. But I feel like everything's been moving fast. But this last month between the Big Ten and where we're at now, everything slowed down for me. Just a real appreciation for what our team has done over this year. Just proud of myself and obviously what I did this year. And I understood it was a long road to get to where I'm at, and I'm appreciative for every roadblock that was in my way to help me.
Well, Cooper DeJean is another player with the option of coming back or testing the NFL. As a reporter, I've had the honor of covering DeJean since he was a sophomore in high school. We first started hearing rumors about this kid in Ida Grove who might be the next big thing in basketball. 1,800 points later, Cooper indeed enjoyed a pretty outstanding career on the court, but the Hawkeyes wanted him as a football player. His commitment to the gridiron has proven to be a life-altering decision for Cooper and a potentially program-altering decision for the Hawkeyes. Let's go back in time a few years to March of 2020. OABCIG High School, a community who sounds like they drew their name out of a bowl of alphabets, saw an unheralded junior make a commitment to the Hawkeye football team. Back then, Cooper DeJean did not have a lot to say on camera.
I'm glad I got my decision made now.
At times, that soft-spoken high schooler still comes out in press conferences.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. It's been fun. It's really cool.
But in 3.5 years, Cooper's growth has been immeasurable, both physically.
It was definitely a surprise when I saw that video, just looking back on how much of a baby I look like.
And in his defensive skill set.
We bring up old tapes. He sees himself on the field and he kind of chuckles and laughs, like how much progress he's made.
The word progress might even be an understatement. Cooper has become one of the best football players in America, a unanimous All-American, a finalist for the Thorpe Award, and a comparison by his coordinator to a man whose name is sacred to Hawkeye fans.
I don't know about Niall Kinnick because I never saw him play, but this might be the 2023 version of Niall Kinnick.
That is not a compliment you'll hear Phil Parker hand out to just anyone. But Cooper DeJean is not your average Tommy Soybean. In nearly 400 snaps on defense, Cooper did not allow one single touchdown this season. What this kid has become over the last 3 seasons is nothing short of supernatural.
Yeah, if you asked me 3 years ago if I'd be in this position, I'd tell you no. I didn't even know if I could, play at this level. Coming from a small town school in Iowa.
Touchdown Falcons.
But Cooper's legacy-defining season was cut short after a broken leg he suffered in practice last month.
Not being out there, whether it's in Indianapolis or those other 2 or 3 games that I missed, it was definitely really tough. After everything we've gone through this season, just fighting each and every Saturday together, and not being able to be out there was pretty tough.
As Cooper recuperates, there are decisions to be made. Stay at Iowa for another season and likely put his name on the Ring of Honor, or go to the NFL where he would almost certainly be a first-round draft pick.
I'm still trying to go through that process and talk to as many people as I can. There's no really set date. I'm just trying to get as many questions answered as I can.
Hawkeye fans await that decision. A question for the future as Cooper reflects on the past and what he's representing every time he takes the field.
To try and show kids, from small towns in Iowa or around my area that this is possible, to put yourself in this position to play Division I football at the highest level.
Cooper's name will already be on the wall of consensus All-Americans, as will Tory Taylor's likeness, the winner of the Ray Guy Award for the best punter in the nation and another unanimous All-American. Tory has learned under the tutelage of not just LeVar Woods, but one of LeVar's former teammates, and the man whose records Tory has been shattering, Jason Baker. Before punting was winning, there was Jason Baker. Was punting winning when you were at Iowa?
Well, we didn't win. That's the problem. Punting was happening, but we weren't winning.
As a junior in 1999, in the midst of Coach Ferentz's first season as head coach, Iowa won just one game. Fast forward 25 years, and not only is Iowa a Big Ten West champion, but this big Aussie punter has broken all of Jason's Iowa records on his way to a unanimous All-American season.
A lot of hard work and sacrifice goes into it, but I'm just really appreciative to be up on the wall with such a great group of men.
But would any of this have been possible without a budding friendship between Baker and Taylor? Over the last 4 years, these two have built a bond that can only be shared by men who have gone through the special teams trenches.
I've been fortunate enough to have a few good punts in my time here, and I owe a lot of credit to him for that as well. Punting and being a specialist can be one of those things that can be a little bit lonely at times, and sometimes just being able to voice your thoughts to someone else that has been in your position, that's what I've been really grateful of Baker.
It's weird having all this stuff in your head that you can't really use in your current vocation, and being able to download it to people is therapeutic in a lot of ways, and it feels good to be able to serve others that way.
Punters, kickers, it's a little different. It's like guys in the bullpen. It's a little different world they live in, different psychology to the way they perform. That's the nice thing about, you think about guys that stay connected to this program, and it's really a great thing.
And as Tory prepares for the NFL draft in April, what's most astonishing, Jason Baker says he has yet to reach his full potential.
As amazing as Tory has been, there's a lot of meat on the bone. Where he's at in the learning curve is good enough to be the best college football player at his position, right? And it's still not anywhere near where he will be in the near future when he further masters it. His posture towards improvement changed dramatically about a year ago.
So what has changed for Tory over the last year?
I would say confidence, and I think that really just comes back to repetition and practice, and more so just quality over quantity. And Baker kind of just said, there's no need to go out there and hit thousands of balls because you're only just going to wear yourself out. He's like, why don't you just focus on 20 to 30 balls each day at practice? And that's really kind of been my mindset probably the last year.
Something that may not have been possible without one former Hawkeye stepping in to help another break all of his records.
I'm really grateful for what Baker's done for me, and I think he's done a really good job at just keeping me grounded, and focusing on what's actually important.
As he approaches his final game in an Iowa uniform, Tory Taylor already holds program records for punt yards in a season, total punts in a career, and he broke the record for punt yards in a career by about 2,000 yards. And in all likelihood, he'll end the Citrus Bowl with a couple of NCAA records as well. The search is on for Iowa's next offensive coordinator. After the break, we bring David Eickholt back to the show. He's had his ear to the ground for the latest OC rumors. We've got more next on Eye on the Hawks. Well, the Iowa offense will face a depleted Tennessee secondary on New Year's Day. After that, the Hawkeyes will look ahead to hiring a new offensive coordinator. Joining us now on Eye on the Hawks, friend of the program, David Eickholt. We're looking like the Manning cast here with the quarter zips on this show. David, few have insider access quite like yourself. What is the latest on Iowa's OC search? Who are some names that you're hearing in the lead up to the Citrus Bowl now?
Right now, if I had to put a betting odds favorite or put my crystal ball on someone, it's going to be former Wisconsin head coach Paul Chryst. I think this makes a lot of sense because if you talk about what Kirk Ferentz has tried to, become throughout the course of his career. He's tried to be what Wisconsin was under Paul Chryst, an efficient running game, good play action, and at least reliable enough quarterback play while still having an elite defense and a good enough special team. So Paul Chryst, I think, is my favorite right now. Another name I'd still keep in mind is Joe Philbin. I know that name circulated a couple of weeks ago, and he did previously work under Kirk Ferentz back from 1999 to 2002, worked with the offensive line. I think it's a home run hire if Iowa gets Paul Chryst, because Kirk Ferentz is not going to change his style of play. Maybe add some new wrinkles, but not change the complete style of play.
Whether it's Paul Chryst or Joe Philbin or somebody else, will Brian's successor be the quarterback's coach again, or do you think those duties will be given to somebody else?
I think it depends on who the hire is. But I think if you get Paul Chryst, I think you do let him become the quarterback's coach. Again, he has experience doing that. The statistics when he was at Wisconsin, I think, speak for itself. I think they'd be a good fit. But let's say Joe Philbin gets there. I don't think you really want Joe Philbin running that quarterback room. But I'd also say, okay, what if you get an offensive coordinator / passing game coordinator? But I do think if it's Paul Chryst, I think it makes a lot of sense to keep him as the quarterback's coach and the offensive coordinator. And I think when you look around the trend of college football, we're seeing more and more of that, whether it be passing game coordinator / offensive coordinator, whether it be quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. I mean, even if you flip over to the Iowa defense, right? You have Phil Parker coaching the secondary and being the defensive coordinator. So I think it would make a lot of sense from that standpoint, but I do think it is solely going to depend on who Iowa hires.
Well, have you heard anything about his potential job prospects, where Brian Ferentz might land after this season is finally over?
Yeah, I still think you need to see what happens in the NFL. I mean, there's still a couple of weeks remaining. All my Packers are going to obviously disappoint me sometime in the next 2 weeks. I want to see what happens with Bill Belichick after this season. There's been a lot of talk that he is not going to return as the New England Patriots head coach. And you know what? If he makes a run with the Chargers are looking for a head coach. I think that can make a lot of sense for Belichick to kind of get Justin Herbert, kind of rebrand himself. Might need a tight end coach. Might need an offensive line coach. They have a long-standing history with one another. So I think if Bill Belichick does not return to New England and he wants to continue coaching the NFL, I'm keeping a very, very close eye on what Bill Belichick does with some of his staff wherever he takes over.
David, we very much appreciate all of your help on the show this year. Give the folks at home one last plug for the holidays right now.
Just stay locked into HawkeyeInsider.com, 24/7 Sports, and at David Eickholt on X. And as always, Owen, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'll see you soon.
The man with the knowledge, David Eickholt. Thanks for joining us, man. Good old Rocky Top has been hit hard by the transfer portal. After the break, Curtis Fader is in the studio to run through what Iowa might see from an unrecognizable Tennessee lineup. That's next on Eye on the Hawks. Tennessee has been to 20 more bowl games than the Hawkeyes, and the true programs have nearly the same win percentage in those games. The Volunteers are 4-1 in their history in the Citrus Bowl. Iowa is 1-1 with their lone win coming back when it was known as the Capital One Bowl. Iowa fans remember well that last-second touchdown from Drew Tate to Warren Holloway as that sealed the win over LSU. This is the two programs' fourth ever meeting. The only bowl game between the two teams was Hayden Fry's first ever bowl win, a 20-22 win in the Peach Bowl back in 1982. So what about the 2023 iteration of the Vols? These guys have been decimated by the transfer portal and guys choosing to move on to the NFL draft. Curtis Fader is here to break down what Iowa can expect come New Year's Day.
Tennessee is a program that has been gutted over the past month. Several key players have either entered the transfer portal or opted out of playing in the Citrus Bowl, including starting QB Joe Milton, who's prepping for the draft. But Iowa fans, beware, because there will be nearly zero drop-off when Nico Iamaleava takes the field. Iamaleava got playing time in 4 games this season for the Volunteers and has shown flashes of his potential in those appearances. Nico was the most highly sought-after recruit in the 2023 class, and his signing to Tennessee gave the program its most touted quarterback since Peyton Manning. Now the 6'6" true freshman has been getting some first-team reps for the past month, and the team has noticed his continued development throughout the season.
He's continued to grow so much fundamentally, allowed him to play at this level, continued to grow, consistency, fundamentals, decision-making, being accurate with the football, in command of what we're doing offensively. This will be his first opportunity to start against a really good defense, but excited to go play with him.
As for who Nico is playing with, Tennessee's two most talented and experienced running backs, Jalen Wright and Jabari Small, both opted out, which means they will rely on sophomore Dylan Sampson as their RB1. Sampson has put on some explosive tape in the carries he was able to get in the 10 games played. Partnering up with him will be true freshman Cameron Selden, so potentially a field day for Iowa's experienced defensive line, stopping the run of Phil Parker preps him well. Tennessee's defense is missing a lot of personnel as well. 6 defensive backs have transferred out of the program, including 2 contributing starters. And now with the Vols losing star defensive tackle Tyler Barron to the portal as well, this might be an opportunity for an assault through the air for the Hawkeyes and a great send-off for Brian Ferentz as Iowa's offensive coordinator.
After the break, we close out this final episode of Eye on the Hawks, breaking down the top 10 plays from the 2023 Iowa football season from 10 to 1 and then some. We'll close up shop right after this. Perhaps the best play from Iowa's football season is the one that didn't count. A wave of the hand and an invalid fair catch ruling is what kept Iowa from a one-loss regular season and kept Cooper DeJean from number 1 on our list of top plays this season. But shed no tears for Cooper. He's still well represented in our rundown of the top plays from 2023. Cooper DeJean's best punt return of the year didn't end up going in the books, but this one's pretty sensational still. Against Michigan State, Cooper breaks one to the sideline and splits the Spartans and scoots for 6. A game-changing touchdown that gives Iowa a lead in what was their first Big Ten win of the season. Number 4, the longest play from scrimmage for Iowa this year, LeShawn Williams' 82-yard touchdown run against Wisconsin, their longest run in the Kirk Ferentz era at Camp Randall, a score that breaks this game open. Amazingly, Iowa won this game without having run a single play in Wisconsin territory. That is thanks largely to this one play from LeShawn Williams. Number 3, a kick that took on even more significance in hindsight, Drew Stevens' game-winning 53-yard field goal against Northwestern at Wrigley Field. He had missed from that same distance earlier in the game, but it's tough as nails when it counts. Iowa won that game 10-7, and without that field goal, if the game goes to overtime and Iowa loses, then Northwestern would have won the Big Ten West. That kick secured their spot in the Big Ten Championship. Number 2, that same game at Wrigley, one of the most inconceivable goal line stands in Iowa history. Reminiscent of that Syracuse game about 15 years ago, Northwestern had a 1st and goal at the 2-yard line, a 2nd and goal from inches outside of the end zone. They run 3 straight plays that got stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Iowa's defense comes through on a messy and torn up turf, helping seal a crucial Big Ten West victory. And our number 1 play of the year, we're cheating a little bit, but none of these plays mean anything without the other 2. It's the Lord of the Rings of Iowa plays. Season finale, Heroes game in Nebraska. Huskers think they're about to orchestrate a game-winning drive, but with under 20 seconds left, in steps Ethan Hurkett for his first career interception. He returns at 16 yards to the Nebraska 37. Very next play, LeShawn Williams breaks free for a 22-yard gain. Every yard crucial when you're about to send a backup kicker into the game. After Drew Stevens had missed a pair of field goal attempts earlier in the day, in steps Marshall Meter, a transfer who had never taken the field in a Hawkeye uniform until this final play of the game. It doesn't get over the bar by much, but Meter's aim is true from 38 yards out. A game, a drive, and a moment that Iowa fans will never forget, and our number 1 play from 2023. That does it for our final episode of Eye on the Hawks. Scan the QR code on the screen to download, subscribe, and listen to the Eye on the Hawks podcast. We have a Citrus Bowl preview podcast up right now that's available wherever you get your podcast. Please like, subscribe, and follow along for all of our videos on the Iowa's News Now YouTube page. And follow our Eye on the Hawks Twitter account for exclusive videos and links to all of our live streams. We want to thank David Eickholt for his help with Eye on the Hawks today, and you, the viewer, for coming with us for this journey through a wild 2023 season. The games were never boring. You got to give that to this Hawkeye team. They kept us on the edge of our seats, likely to be the same for the Citrus Bowl. We'll see you again on Monday from the Sunshine State. Thanks for joining us.